want to jump the shark and be like, I want it now.
Inking, X-Men books in our living room.
Do you think we could get John Bird to draw us some happy little trees?
I used to get my comics off a spinner rack at the drugstore.
That cat is super creepy.
Got pancake mix and syrup inside. Well, we need like 10 covers by like next week. Youngblood cover.
Security level Omega. Password Delta Charlie -27-5-1939. Enable new protocol. Title Agamemno Contingency.
All you Sheehannites, welcome to the show. John Byrne.
X-Men cover.
Look at this bad boy.
Look at this.
Look at this. This is literally like the king daddy of Batman collectibles, comic collectibles. It's the Dark Knight Returns #1, first print, 9.8, signed with a head sketch by Frank Miller and the inker Klaus Janson.
Gorgeous. Such a great cover.
Right? It is.
Yeah.
In Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, if you look, and it skipped me like the first few times. There's a part when Doomsday zaps at Batman in the third act where he's holding onto the building, and all of a sudden he puts his grapple hook out and jumps, and the lightning hits in the back. It's a real quick thing, but that was Snyder's homage to this. This is like the king daddy of Batman collectibles. No
Very
joke.
cool.
And then anyone who's followed the show, all you Sheehannites, you've seen me show off the Batman Year One, Part 1, and it was signed by Frank Miller. So I have two huge pieces of Batman memorabilia from modern comic. Yeah, I'm sure Uslan probably has that. He probably has like multiples. So this one is my haul. It came in the mail today. Is Savage Avengers, Punisher, Wolverine. This is drawn by David Finch, the cover. It's got Conan in it. According to Omnidog from Omnidog's Vault channel, he said that there's a licensing dispute with Conan, and this is probably going to be the first and last time that they print this for a while, because Marvel will, is Marvel going to want to renegotiate or try to reacquire the rights somehow to Conan? But the rights are held up right now.
Interesting. So is that a variant, or is that the
yeah, original? This is very good. This isn't the direct market, which is weird because usually the direct market is the one that sells out, but this is the regular one. I ordered this because this one is the hot cover. This is the regular cover.
It's a cool cover. Cool. And it was that Venom in the back there?
Yes. Yep.
Oh.
So you got Venom, you got the Punisher. I don't know who that is. I'm not sure if that's Luke Cage or not. You got Conan, you got Elektra.
Oh yeah.
The Punisher, and then Wolverine.
Sure. Cool.
And speaking of organic price books, all you Sheehannites,
yes,
you go to organicpricebooks.com. At the coupon code at the end, you put in Sheehan is dead all together. Sheehan is dead. It'll save you $2.
He is dead, by the way.
Very much so. Painful. But $2 doesn't seem like much, but I'll tell you what, you put in the $2 each time. It helps us out, of course. And you create an account, and every dollar you spend, you get a point. And the points accumulate quick because the omnibuses and books obviously aren't overly cheap, but you still save yourself like 30, 40, $50 off cover price on organic.
Huge. That's huge. And it eases your conscience too. Speaking of that.
Oh, look at that.
So this came in today. An unnamed, very special friend sent this to me from Organic Price Books. They send it in like a crate. It's almost like when they send you a book, an omnibus, it's almost like packaged on a pallet, just one book on a pallet, because they don't want the book to get damaged. Bubble wrapped like crazy, and like 700 pounds of wrapping paper, and
they packed them really well
inside. Just beautiful. Cockrum and John Byrne and Terry Austin and the whole
John
thing.
Byrne.
guys,
you guys, John Byrne. Let me tell you.
So I've read the first two Cockrum issues, but the credits on a couple of them just say artist, colorist. But then for most of the John Byrne work, it says artist. Byrne is the artist. He gets credit for the artist, and So penciler. Byrne is penciler. Terry is the inker. And then Glennis Ween or Wine is colorist.
Mhm.
So I'm curious about when there's not two credits, it's just colorist. What is that? So what is the anchor? The anchor is the guy that colors over the top of the pencils to smooth it out.
Yes. Brad Anderson, my man.
How
My
are ya?
man. Good. How are you, man? Thank you for
Good.
coming on.
Oh, my pleasure.
Have you met Rob Liefeld?
Yeah, yeah.
So have you colored his stuff?
Yeah, I did a bunch of covers for him. Deadpool, Youngblood cover, X-Men cover. Yeah, a couple things. Yeah.
Because Scott and I enjoy his podcast. Have you listened to his podcast?
Oh
Rob?
yeah.
Observations.
Yeah, yeah.
He gets into it.
Yeah, he's quite passionate. Like, I mean, as a comic person, I love having a guy like that out there. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Super historian.
but yeah, I ran into him. I think he said a bunch of stuff on Twitter about me, like really complimentary stuff. And I was like, oh, that's super nice. And I was in San Diego at the con there, and I walked right by him in the aisle. And I was like, Rob. And he's like, oh, no, I got to go. I got a thing. And I was like, no, I just want to say thanks for all the nice words. I really appreciate it. I'm Brad. He goes, oh, I need to get your info. I want to work with you right now. I got some stuff. So we just exchanged, talked for a bit. Like, yeah, nice guy.
The way Jim Lee has like Alex Sinclair as his inker, and excuse me, he has Williams as his inker and Sinclair as his colorist.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say you're pretty much Jason's Sinclair, like you're his personal colorist?
Well, like, yeah, as far as he's concerned, I guess, yeah, he just,
As far as I'm concerned too, because it's always like
we have a great,
Brad Anderson.
Yeah, we have a great back and forth. Jay's probably the nicest guy in comics. Like, he is truly just a sweetheart, like the nicest guy in the world. So I remember when we first started, I think we did a Batman when I first, you know what, I can't remember what book it was. It was a few years ago.
Was it Eternal?
And he sent like pages of notes for color. Like every panel had, I want this, I'm looking for this. And I was just like, holy man, I don't have time to read all this. Like, this is crazy. So I just went and I said, no, I kind of get what you're looking for. He wanted kind of a movie feel because it was like Gotham and all the stuff. And I was like, yeah, no problem. I got it. So I just did it and sent him some pages, and he was like, that's awesome. Like, you read my mind. And yeah, he just sends me stuff without any notes or any suggestions, and just, he says, here you go, do your magic kind of thing. And I just go with it. So we've been working really well together. It's just super easy. So
Cool.
Well, that makes sense then, because you say it like he sent you all those instructions, but you get him, so it's not like, if he went to farm it out to someone else, he would probably have to go through that whole process again and trial and error. So that makes sense.
yeah, I mean, I guess, that was the first time I worked with him, right? So, I totally understand what he was thinking, because he didn't know what I was going to do to his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it worked out. And he draws so much in his pages, like, there's so much going on. And yeah, so I just gotta kind of be careful too. Like, I could spend entire full day just on one page if I wanted, but
Sure.
it's comics. I just can't do that, right? So
Speak a little bit to the relationship between you and the artist. Like the like, how does that work as far as give and take?
Gee, I don't know. It's been I've been pretty lucky.
I'm talking process, not necessarily like person to
Okay,
person,
yeah.
but you get work and you've got to do it. So like, how much interaction is there back and forth?
Like, I get this, first thing I do is I get the script editor. I talk to the editor, deadlines. That's kind of the first thing.
Okay.
I go through the script. If there's something that's kind of wonky, or if, there's something that I know it's going to be a specific look for the artist, then I'll email them and we'll chat about it. But otherwise, the script's got all the information I need, and I just kind of go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does it say like, for instance, brown background highlighted by street light, and you just kind of make that happen, or what?
No, it's no, nothing like that. Like I do all that on my own. Like
Mhm.
I'll go through the script and I'll kind of pick out scenes, and then when I get the black and white artwork, I'll kind of go through it. It's rare that I get, a full book of artwork. I'm always kind of waiting on pages and that kind of thing. So I kind of look as they come in, but I always refer to the script first. So when I do get pages out of order or something, I know exactly where I need to be. For instance, the Raza Ghul, the One Bad Day we just finished.
Mhm.
It was a big book, so lots of locations, and it kind of jumps from like one scene to another right away. So I want to make sure the reader knows, okay, we're in a different location like right now. So I like to end off on a strong color note and then flip over to a new scene, and just kind of you automatically know you're in a new location, even if
Okay.
it looks like it's the same location.
Mhm.
Tech rooms, caves, that kind of thing.
I'm aware of the One Bad Day. I just haven't picked it up yet. So who do you work with on that? Who's the artist?
Ivan Reese and
Oh,
Danny Mickey.
his
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I love his stuff too. Brad, I know we're like just throwing it at you, but just to slow it down for a sec.
No problem.
So about what, 5 years? I can't believe it's been like 4 or 5 years already. But when Frank Miller's DK3 came out, the
Mhm.
hardcover, you did an event for Batman Day in a Barnes and Noble in the city in Manhattan. It was you, Frank, Azzarello, and Andy, right? Andy.
Yeah.
Andy. I met you. I
Oh.
know you don't remember me, but I remember you, and I remember you. You were you and Andy were very like energetic, and like, whereas Frank was, kind of like, and the way they lined us up on the stage to meet you guys real fast and have you sign the book.
Yeah.
Go, 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 go.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was
you're with Frank, right? Like he's got experience in this. I was kind of partially nervous and everything. That's probably
Well,
why.
you were on the end, so
Yeah. Yeah.
you like chatted me up for a little bit, and then after they were like, all right, and everyone went their separate way, you hung out and spoke to me for a few minutes.
Oh,
And
okay.
I just remember how pleasant you were, and how personable, and that's what made me seek you out. And the fact that I started to stumble on your work, you with Jason and whatnot, I'm like, it made me rooting for you was very easy.
Oh, that's super nice. Thank you for that.
No,
Yeah.
I'm grateful, because
I'm
like
glad
I
I
said,
wasn't an ass to you then.
no, you weren't. But I'll tell you, Frank was like Frank, like he wasn't. He was just kind of like whatever.
Yeah, that
That's
was pretty overwhelming. There was lots of people. And
yeah.
so before that, I told Andy, I says, yeah, or I emailed the group and I says, just a heads up, I'm going to bring some of my copies because I want to get you guys to sign my own copies of the book, right? So Andy's like, "Oh, that's a great idea." So they all brought their own stack of books. So we were in the green room before, and we're just signing each other's books. So I had a stack of um, my copies with all the team signing it, which is really nice.
Was it about 2.5 years ago? You did a signing event. It was through CGC. It was you, Jay, and Jeff did a signing, and that was like right when the pandemic hit. So I sent in like 4 copies of #1 different variants of Doomsday Clock, and
Okay.
had you and Jeff sign them. And then I had a Dark Knights 3 #1 signed by everybody but you. And so I sent that in, and just for you to sign, which of course you did. But I just remember it took like almost 2 years to get them back. And by the time I got them back, like the grades were all over the place, like it was a weird experience with CGC on that one, at least. So
Yeah, I was really bummed about that. The COVID really screwed us on that because we
right.
were supposed to be in Florida and they're going to have everything set up, and we do their normal thing. They all sign, and instead they had to ship everything up to me, like
Now,
all of
didn't
us, right?
they closed, like, you're in Canada, are you?
Yep.
Or you?
The shipping was fine. That
Oh,
wasn't the issue. Yeah.
okay.
But I had like 21, well, I think maybe 21 or 22 massive boxes shipped to my house. So it was just It took me 4 or 5 days, just steady doing it. And you never want, and keep in mind, they package them like you could throw them down a stair, an empty elevator shaft and they'll still be good. Like they pack them really well.
That makes me feel better. Thank you.
Yeah, but I mean, like it just sucks that we had to go through that, like ship them to me, and then and then they went to Jeff after, because I got them after Jason signed them.
I'll tell you, one of my favorite pieces that you and Jay did was the Action Comics 1000 from Mile High.
Oh yeah.
Man, that's such a beautiful cover with the doves and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's such a gorgeous, gorgeous cover. I wish they would have done like a foil variant or something. That I would have been all over it.
Well, Jay did a bunch of, like, all the clouds were done like gray tone, like pencil. So yeah, it would have been tough to like, I found it difficult because there was so much wash in it that I thought it was going to print really muddy. So I had to kind of do some finagling with it a bit. But yeah, it came out really nice.
Are
Yeah, it
you
was
all
beautiful.
digital now?
For comic work, yeah. Commissions, I do marker. I'll throw some wash in there too, some color. But
Now, what year was it you started?
I'd say 97, maybe 96.
And so were you digital then, or was that on paper?
It was all markers. Yeah, I used to do all marker comps, so we could print out. I worked at a place called Digital Chameleon. It was out of Winnipeg in Canada here, and they ran 3 shifts, 24 hours, and it was they did all the color separation. So we would get like photocopies of the actual artboards, and they'd be numbered, some colorists, and then if we colored them in-house, then we'd do markers and we'd write the color code for the skin tone or what we wanted. And yeah, we just cranked the stuff out. But everything came out of here. There was X-Men, the stuff from Heavy Metal magazine.
Oh, really? Wow, cool.
It was tons of stuff, because it was the only shop that did digital color separations at the time.
And so when did you end up? So you don't do any marker anymore. You're not on paper at all. You're all digital. True.
Right. Yeah.
Other than you said commissions. So what year approximately, or when was that transition?
I think it was while I was there. So it must have been 2000, started going all digital, 2001.
Okay.
Like that. Oh, I loved it. It was way better.
Yeah, you like the
You're basically cutting out the middleman. Like we would do all the marker comps, and then we'd pass that piece of paper to someone that would do all the color separations on the computer. So they're kind of, interpreting what we're trying to do, and it never really came out the same. So that's why we had to put a lot of numbers in it.
Okay. Well, once you're on the computer, what you did is what it was. Yeah.
And it was just way cleaner. You could undo stuff or whatever. You could restart. It was, the technology's come, so far that, like most guys are drawing on digital now. So how does that break out? What's the difference between the magazine where there's 2 credits versus 3 credits? Usually there'd be more than one colorist on it. So they don't add the colorist on the cover. Oh, so it's still a separate job duty, but they just don't give the credit? Yeah, I mean, it could be for lots of reasons. Time, deadline, maybe the colorist couldn't fit it in. What does the inker do? Is the inker the guy that goes over the pencils in the black? Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then the colorist is the guy who brings the color to the table, or the person, I should say. Yeah, like you get, a lot of guys, like, I'm not sure what Burns pencils look like if they were super tight, probably not. But the inker would come in and just, add his magic to it. Like, it's pretty incredible what they do. So if you have a good team, well, Jim Lee, let's say, okay, and so those, so they have like such a great chemistry that he doesn't have to do so much in the pencils. He'll indicate where he wants hatch work, and then it'll just be, he'll do it similar to like how he's always done it. It'll be perfect. Like, he kind of adds his own touch to it. But it's getting that chemistry between in a team is so nice, because there's no notes, there's no questions. You just know what you're going to get. and you're done kind of thing.
Sure.
But even with other, like if there's multiple covers and they put it into a trade or an omnibus book, there's multiple colorists on the certain project.
Yeah.
So they'll just put the creative, like the artists and the inker on it. That's why for like Doomsday Clock, or even, what else? Well, Three Jokers is a little different. But I wanted to do all the color on it. So I was like, no, I'll do everything. I don't care. I'll stay up all night. I just want to make sure my name gets on the cover for this stuff too.
Such a great story.
But then they had I remember Three Jokers, they wanted all the variant covers. I think they initially wanted to have a whole bunch of different artists do it. And Jason's like, no, like, and we had like hardly any time to get them done. They said, well, we need like 10 covers by like next week. He's like, okay, done, we'll do it. So he emailed me, says, he goes, Anderson, you're going to get a buttload of covers coming in. We have to get them done, because he wanted to make sure he did all the art on it. Yeah, so that was awesome. They came out great.
So the deadline was that tight on that? Because yeah, there were a ton of them, and each of them was gorgeous. They were gorgeous.
Yeah, I think he had an initial idea. He ran it. I think he might have ran it by them. Says, why don't we do, the Joker faces, and it will kind of match the first 3 covers. So he said, let's just go with that theme. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Let's just, you get them done, and I'll just get them done right behind you, kind of thing. So
cool.
Yeah.
So when someone does a digital like Jay does, obviously there's no need for an inker. Like whatever he draws on the screen is pretty much quote unquote inked by whatever texture he chooses.
Right. Yeah, it's different.
All right. And then you just go in and zap in with the color. Okay.
Yeah. So he's credited as, artist and inker basically, right?
Right. Yeah. It'll say like Jason Fabic art and then Brad Anderson color.
Yeah. So unlike Gary Frank, he's a little different. He's all traditional, but he basically draws in ink. Like he just kind of draws, he indicates where he wants stuff, and then he just goes in and draws with pen and ink and brush or whatever. He's just a master. Like it's unbelievable what he does. So when I get his pages, it's pretty messy. So I got to clean all his pages. So I go over each little area with a fine-tooth comb, and I clean them all up, get them ready for color. So it's kind of a treat for me being a fan. So I get to go over every little line. So it's neat.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's unreal.
When he sends it to you, like he's scanning it and sending it to you, and
yeah.
Doomsday Clock. I double dipped. I got the absolute edition.
Yeah.
What were the delays?
I think it was just the workload, because I think they were supposed to be bigger books, and Jeff already had the whole story like in his head, so it was just a matter of getting it down. But I think it was just workload. We wanted to put out, like I know Jeff and especially Gary wanted to put out phenomenal work. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to be able to meet, some maybe unrealistic deadlines. So they're okay, that's fine. We'll just bump it. And then they made it, was it bi-monthly, I guess? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like bi-monthly, and then I think like tri-monthly for like a couple of
Yeah, we were like, I know Gary says, you know what, we're not going to rush it. We can't just crank this out just to say we got it out, which was a good call. Like I wanted the first issue to match the last issue, as we all did, because when you sit down and you read the collected series, you want it to flow nice and not be like, oh Jesus, last issue looks pretty rushed. It sucks at the time because everyone's waiting, but in big picture, you want it to be, okay, this is like a nice piece of work. You want it to stay solid the whole way through. I just remember getting a call from Jeff saying, I have this idea. Would you be interested? And I was like, yeah, like a, part 2 of the Watchmen kind of thing, or a continuation. It was kind of nerve-wracking. I was a little nervous, but once he was kind of telling me the story and where it was going to go, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Yeah, I need to be a part of this. Yeah, I remember getting the first batch of pages from Gary, and it was all the Watchmen universe. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh man. So I remember doing the first, I think 6 pages. I did them 3 times. And because I wanted to get it right. And initially I did it and I was like, oh, I don't know. And so I sent them to Gary and he's like, no, we got to go a little more Watchmen universe. So then I said, okay, so I redid them and I didn't really like them. So I pushed it even further. And he's like, yeah, these are perfect. So,
Like
and
as
then I
far
kind
as
of got the groove. And then when it got into the DC universe, then I can kind of go back to where I'm
like
familiar with, you know?
the tone of the color.
Yeah. Yeah.
See,
Yeah, for sure.
washed into what Gibbons and Moore did.
Yeah. But with a modern, a modern feel. Because I can't revert back to that, but I was kind of taking cues off. Like that whole prison scene at the beginning with Rorschach.
Yeah, that was
went more.
that's actually one of my questions I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Like the way
It
it's
looked totally different the first time I did it.
So was it like a darker brown or a lighter brown? Like, or did
Oh
Gary?
no, it was totally. I think I did like it was greens in the back, and it was
Oh,
really moody, like more modern mood.
Hmm.
And then he's like, "No, it's got to be. We really want to push more of the Watchmen universe." So I'm like, "Okay, perfect." Then I went back and just kind of redid them. Yeah, and that was a lot of back and forth with Gary and Jeff too. Like, so yeah, but Gary's art's unbelievable. Just looking at that, it's like, oh man, he's so incredible. When I was getting pages from Gary, I was like, oh, even the way he draws like leather and it's just so good. It just drives me nuts. Like
you did awesome on the leather too. Like it doesn't look plasticky. It actually looks like
Well, yeah, if you look at Rorschach's hand there, the fist on the ground, I guess his left hand. Like Gary draws the
that's
stretches in the leather, like he inks in the actual seams that are stretching. It's just he is unbelievable. Like, yeah, it's so good. And I get to go over every little panel, zoom in, clean all of it, so I get to see all his amazing artwork.
Now this one here, even like where my finger is, the way the light, like, I could see like a dim hallway prison light actually looking like that.
Right here. It's really,
that's perfect.
Yeah. It's just trying to create that atmosphere, and then there's the one scene, I think that when they're in the sewer.
Yeah.
I initially did that and I was like, you know what? It looked cool, like look grungy and everything. And then I thought, you know what? I'm gonna do it. Like if there's a thick tarnished yellow fluorescent light in there. So I just washed everything in yellow and I went with that for that scene. And I think it worked out pretty good. It's one of my favorites, that whole part.
Well, even the snow, Brad, like the way you made the snow look, it looks like snow. It's not just like, white out, like brush with white out. And even the pancakes, like the pancakes look real. Like,
yeah. That cover too. Like, well, and that's another thing. The covers Gary was doing was so wicked. So I wanted to make sure, I kind of add to it. But yeah, I remember getting that pancake cover and I was like, oh, this is the greatest cover. Like just a stack of pancakes. So you had to put the burnt edges and do it all. And
and the syrup, the glow in the syrup, the sheen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was Googling, reference photos of pancakes and stuff like that. So,
but did you have pancakes? Did it get you in the mood for pancakes?
Yeah, well, they sent us that box with so they sent this.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can even open it.
Now, I don't recall seeing that on retail. Is that just like for you guys?
Yeah, so I don't know if they see.
Oh, beautiful.
Well, it's got an issue, and then it's got
pancake mix.
It's got pancake mix and syrup inside.
Dude, that is awesome.
That's great.
I have never seen that before.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's come with a little.
You got your button? Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Oh man, that's great.
Thank you so much. That makes it all worth it. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so
I've never seen that before.
There's the little.
That's beautiful. And there's real syrup in there?
Yeah. 100% maple syrup. It's got the little image on it.
That's great.
I literally had no idea that existed.
But even the pancake mix, they've even put the black and white version.
That's awesome.
Whoever does that has a great job.
I'll tell you what, the sheen that you did on Dr. Manhattan was perfect too. I really love this one on on the cat, on the eyes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then he
Oh,
shows up.
I haven't looked at that stuff in a long time.
Yeah, man. Like the blue is beautiful. Like it's a pungent, but it's not like obnoxious. It really does look like you turned on a light and there it is, the way it shines off of Ozzy's face.
That cat is super creepy.
I wanted to ask you about this one too. An effect like this, is this something that you added, or is this something that Gary was like, hey, like had a sheen and you just picked up on it, like on the lipstick?
Oh, that is a great frame.
Oh, I just added that in.
You
Yeah.
added that?
Yeah,
Dude.
just a little lens flare on there.
Oh man, I can't tell you how much that made it for me.
Oh, really?
I can't tell you like how much I was like, wow, that's so awesome. Because I mean, obviously, I've seen it, like putting the lipstick on and the sheen off of it. That was absolutely perfect. That was
I think one of the things that adds to the power of that is the frame before it is black and white, and then you've got like that punch, which is a really interesting, and then the 3 frames after it are also black and white. So it's just like boom.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like I always revert back to that. You remember the opening scenes of the Incredibles cartoon, and they're showing the history of the past, what happened to the superheroes, and then it cuts to him sitting at his desk in the insurance place, and it just the contrast of that grainy 1950s footage to him sitting at his desk is just like, oh, just same thing. It hits you right in the face, like, wow, does that ever look slick? But with Doomsday Clock, I remember because it's all 9-panel grid. So there's pages there where, every second panel is in a different location, but it's all on the same page. So I would try to plan my locations as I'm going through the script. Like, okay, so if I have 3 or 4 different locations on one page, I'm going to have to really juggle I can't change the scene color. So that's just stuff you have to keep in mind too. But I mean, you can kind of push it and kind of fake it a bit just to if I paint myself in a corner kind of thing. But yeah, I just try to keep it in mind when doing stuff,
Now this one here, it's got like the grain on them. Did you add that? Is that you? Like the lines that go across?
Oh yeah. It's just a kind of a filter I could put in. It's like a TV screen filter.
Oh, it's
I just added after.
It's awesome. It's awesome. That effect is almost as cool as the lipstick, though I favor the lipstick. And like even on the girls' glasses,
just try to keep it subtle.
Right.
Glasses right here, the sheen, like the reflection. Like that's just top notch. Those are little things that I just really appreciate in art.
Yeah.
Like I love this. I love this.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It's really good.
I finished the whole book like 2 weeks ago.
I mean, yeah, like Gary's stuff. I mean, he makes it really easy too, right? I don't have to guess where the light's coming from, time of day, that kind of stuff. So, he makes it, and his drapery and like clothing and everything is just so unbelievable. Yeah, there was one I think where Batman is like a shot, where he's jumping out of the jet and he's coming down.
Yes.
The light from his, I think it was the jet. Yeah. I kind of added an extra flare in there, just kind of.
I remember looking at that and being just staring at it.
Yeah, and in my thinking, I'm like, oh, if that was me, and I look up and you see Batman jumping down, I'm assuming it's gonna be pretty blinding. You're just gonna catch the image of his cape, so it's kind of play up on that.
This is one of my favorite frames, and again, like the way you added to it with the on the glasses and the sheen and whatnot. And the blur on it too, like it's not crystal clear, like you're looking through it. It actually looks like it's a lens. I mean, obviously being a glasses wearer, like I absolutely love this.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go through that. I haven't seen that in a long time.
Did you read comics when you were a kid, or did?
Yeah, well, it was more for the art. Like I was a huge art fan of comics growing up, and I grew up in a really small town, paper mill town right on the lake kind of thing. So like there was no comic shop or anything. You couldn't get like get addicted to a monthly title. So I used to get my comics off a spinner rack at the drugstore. So I would always be gravitated to covers I liked or artwork. And then I'd go home and draw all this stuff. And my older brother there, he used to get Heavy Metal magazine. And yeah, I was John Buscema, Conan. Like he had stacks of all the black and white books. And I was hooked when I saw those. Yeah, so it was hard for me to get into the stories. I was just a huge comic art fan, which I am now. I'm still obsessed with it. I just love it.
Cool.
You know, what these comic artists do, they draw everything from stuff in the past, present day, to stuff in the future that they got to create. Like, it's pretty incredible what they can do.
I appreciate even, like Gary did in this, like every little bit of background is filled in. There's nothing that's just like pushed to the fore and just just a colored background, like the sheets in the bed, the bricks on the building, like you said, the kinks in the glove and in the leather, and
Oh yeah.
the bricks in the building there, like the way, and then you have to go in and color that and yet not bring too much attention to it, but just enough. Do you have any of Gary's like pages behind you?
Yeah,
Or
this one here.
is that from Doomsday Clock?
Yeah, it's page 2, issue 12. It's the very first time in history that Superman and Dr. Manhattan meet face to face. So
Okay.
I
yes.
have the original art for that page. Yeah, it'd be 11 by 17. Yeah, let's see.
Oh man.
So
Wow. That is so cool. That is so cool. That is so cool. Wow. Yeah. That's when they
Nice.
all work on him too. Yes.
Yeah, the first time they meet face to face, like I said,
Yeah.
I gotta have that page.
That's awesome. That's
Very
awesome.
nice.
Yeah, Colin Wilson?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a page that he sent me from it was a Star Wars book we did together. And he's one of my favorite. I think he lives in Paris now, or he lives in France now, I think. Yeah, he is a rock star out there. Like, yeah, he's phenomenal. Yeah, so he was nice enough to send me that. I wrote a nice little note on it. So
How many different artists are behind there? There's Colin, Gary,
Brad Walker, Andy Kubert, Gary, Alvaro Martinez from Detective.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Frank Miller, Andy poster at the top there.
Mm-hmm.
So they all wrote a nice little note. They
You colored that?
Yeah, they gave me a print of that. So
I see you got the Geiger one.
Actually, that's a funny story. Yeah, and I still have a couple. I got a Lee Weeks print, and then that other Geiger or Junkyard Joe cover that I drew.
Mm-hmm.
So
you drew it.
I drew that one with the skull, the Geiger cover. Yeah, so I drew it and painted it.
Oh,
and then the Junkyard Joe with him doing the salute with the American flag. I drew that one too. Yeah, but the Dark Knight cover, the red. It was funny because they had Andy drew it and then Frank Miller inked it. So Frank was telling me, he goes, yeah, when he first got the inks or got the pencils, he was like, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna handle all the rain and stuff. So he just did it and took a nail and like scratched it all and did it all like super loose and it came out amazing. So when Andy sent it, he says, okay, well, I need you to paint this, like color it up. And I was like, okay. And I was looking at it and I'm like, oh man, how am I gonna do this? I can't really pick out the form too much, and I don't want to do a standard blue and with the rain and everything blue and white. So I just went all monochromatic red. I said, oh, we'll see what they say. And they loved it. Like, it was a huge hit. They're like, oh, this is perfect. They just love it. Because all the covers, there's so much red on each cover, right? So I thought, oh, this will be, kind of play off that kind of thing. So yeah, it worked out good.
Do you like to set up an easel and draw something in paint, or do you prefer to do digital, or do you not even bother with paint?
I haven't painted in a while. I did some commissions the past couple of years with some paints, but I have a couple tables set up in my basement, like a basement studio where I can make a mess and paint, that kind of thing. But I mean, the technology now, even with Procreate on the iPad, you can get some wicked effects. And it's way cleaner. Like, I don't have to wash brushes or worry about spilling a water bucket or something. So Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the technology as far as Photoshop and the, Procreate, like I said. That's pretty amazing. I love that stuff, yeah. But yeah, I've been using it 26 years, maybe. Yeah, I remember when I was first using it, it was like Photoshop 1.0, and you'd go to do a gradation and you'd have to wait for the computer to do like to, run the pinwheel kind of thing just for one little thing. Oh, it took forever. Yeah, it's so nice now. It's amazing. I just love the tech and I love the look of it. Or what I like to do is put a harsh side light in one color, like a really hot, warm color, and then I could render the shadow in like a blues and that kind of thing. And it kind of forces it's kind of a forced perspective, but it's not cheating, but it's like I really like playing on multiple light sources. Yeah, it just pushes the form more. It just creates kind of a more attractive cover. So, and a lot of times if I'm going to do something marker, I'll kind of draw out where I want the highlights and really light pencil, and then I'll go do that. And then I could add white out or white paint after to some of the highlights. Yeah, we did all that stuff. I went to the Kubert School.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I used to dream about that when I was a kid, like a 12, 13, 14-year-old.
Yeah, I went in 94 maybe. I think it was maybe 94, 95. And I was working at a paper mill in my hometown, and I quit and packed up my truck and drove down there. And so I learned a lot from instructors there, and all you did was just draw, ink, paint, just nonstop every day, nonstop.
Is there an acceptance process? Did you have to submit work?
Yeah, there's the portfolio guidelines that they would send you, say, well, we want to see this, this, this.
Okay.
And then so I shipped that down, and then I couldn't go down for an interview, so they just did the interview over the phone, and then we kind of go through each piece and say, oh, what were you thinking here? And you kind of explain it. And then went down there for a couple of years. And
so you just packed it up and went. That's so cool, dude.
How old would you have been roughly?
23 maybe.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah. 23. I have two brothers. I'm the middle one of my brothers.
Okay.
And my older brother has a home building company. My younger brother is an electrical engineer. So I thought, well, I'm going to try it while I'm young. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't married or anything, and I didn't have kids. And
right.
So I thought, oh yeah, I want to try it. And then if it doesn't work out, then I'll just get a real job and kind of do it on the side if I wanted. But yeah, I've been doing it ever since. Yeah, I got to meet Andy down there at the school. I think he was working on X-Men at the time, and Jesse Delperdang was inking him.
Cool.
When he was in his third year. So he was that good. The guy was like a savant when it came to inking. So he quit, and then he lived with us for a bit because he was in between apartments. So we got to see him inking, X-Men books in our living room. Like I had a table set up there. Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
That is amazing.
So I was super hooked. Like I was like, oh my God, can actually make a living doing this? This is crazy.
Right. Yeah,
I loved it. Like my younger brother paints these crazy, wicked paintings just on his days off or on the weekends. And my older brother, same thing. He'll be, take his easel and he'll paint quite a bit, and draw. Always really good illustrators. My second year at the Kubert School, I won a partial scholarship, but then I started working, so I didn't go back for the third year because I started working right away. So I just said, I'm not going to spend the money. I used my roommate. He directed that, so it's on Netflix now. But yeah, so he moved back to Norway and he became a filmmaker. So he's done a bunch of movies there.
I remember the Kubert School usually has a table in Artist Alley.
Yeah.
And the kids are pushing their, the thing that they worked on together, that whatever their project was. I went in 14, 15, 16, and 17.
I think I might be there this year. I don't have it set up yet, but I think I'll be going this year. So I'll be in San Diego. Yeah, I mentioned Jackman there one time.
Have you done any film work, like storyboard, color for anything recently, or?
No, I did stuff for when the Spider-Man 2 movie came out. I did a bunch of promotional pieces for that, toy stuff, and then packaging stuff, a lot of that kind of stuff. We'd go to the store and we'd see it like on T-shirts and kids' clothes and posters. I'm like, oh, I did that. So I would buy a bunch of stuff, and when we first had kids,
Is that weird? Is that weird?
No way.
Yeah, at that time it's pretty weird because that's the first time I kind of saw that. So it was pretty cool. Yeah. So I do this kind of stuff, eh?
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So
So
it's
you-
on like on a coloring book or something.
Yeah.
So that picture there, you drew and colored, or
Well, yeah, they would just send me the line and I put the color in it.
oh,
And then
okay,
they
cool.
would put that image on like a cityscape, or they would put it on like t-shirts and that kind of stuff. So
Do you have a favorite character that you like to work on, or does it not matter?
oh, Batman's my favorite. I remember growing up and I thought, Batman, he's such a unique character. I always thought he was gonna be like he's gonna snap one day and go like John Wick on everyone. Like all these bad guys, and there's always, they're just doing such bad things. Just when I was younger, I thought, oh, like, how does he just, and he's just so like, the stuff he's been through and is always getting kicked down. Like you'd think, oh, one day he's just gonna snap and just go like, Ra's al Ghul kind of thing on people, or like John Wick and just start mowing guys down. Like, you know what?
I got one last question about this. Do you have a favorite artist that you like to color?
Lee Weeks is, I don't know, the guy is probably my favorite. Gary Frank, like I've always been an Adam Kubert fan. I think when he was doing Hulk stuff and everything, his anatomy is like on point all the time.
He was like king of the X-Men back in the day.
Yeah, like his Wolverine, like is wicked. Yeah, like I don't know. I like everybody. Gary blows my mind. Like he's just so talented, like such a smart artist. And I've always been a Lee Weeks fan. Like Lee Weeks is the master of like black and white. Like I have photocopies. I remember he did Alien versus Predator for Dark Horse, like probably 2000 or was it probably 98. And I think I was at the Kubert School, and I think Andy was showing me some of the pages, like the actual. Yeah, I think he had copies. So I made photocopies of the full boards. Well, not the original, but the full pages. And just looking at like this, there's one page I'll never forget. It has, I think it was a predator going through this kind of sewer or something, walking down in each panel. And as he was moving, the panels just they were all the same size, but the panel just got darker and darker until the last panel was almost full black with this tiny little, it's like you're looking through a crevice or a little tunnel, and you could just see him walking through this little mass of black. And it was just like, oh my God, it was just genius narrative skill. And it was just black. He wasn't but you felt like you were in this cave or in this tunnel. It was just incredible. The guy's amazing. Yeah.
But
Thank you so much for being with us. I really appreciate your insight.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah.
Is there anything that
Anytime.
you wanna mention that's coming out soon, or?
Oh, tons I want to mention, but I can't. No, I got to do a cover for and for Adam Kubert. I got to do that tomorrow. And I'm wrapping up the last issue of Junkyard Joe. There's some cool stuff coming. I wish I could tell you. Yeah, my Twitter is BD Anderson 13, and then my Instagram is Comic Brad.
I don't know what to tell you, but
well, thank you. I appreciate you having me. It's awesome. Hope to see you at a con one day.
Brad, me, remember me.
Have a good night.
Take care.
You too.
What a nice fella, right?
You can't rush these things.
I want to jump the shark and be like, I want it now. That's why I was like, and then all of a sudden it started to come back up on life support, the joke, and it was right here. He does listen to Rob's observations. I only got blocked on Twitter, but
Brian,
your mother, your father, your sister, your brother. If you want me to rag on your brother or sister, I'll do that too. Whatever you want.
You got to give him some goals, some homework. Other than Rob Liefeld or Jason Fabric, please let us know.
And you saw me shoot for Jeff Johns, but he's like, oh, Jeff's got people.
He's got people.
John Byrne. John Byrne.
Do you think we could get John Bird to draw us some happy little trees?
Absolutely not.